Like, welcome to our next podcast.
Finger drums. See, now it does it.
Yeah.
You drop it down and finger drums.
Brains.
Okay, so we're back for, I don't even know, part something of something or...
Episode insert here.
Going episodically. So you mentioned something in one of our previous chats around, you finally got around to the Mandalorian.
Yeah, it was super late. As you know, I was on honeymoon, so...
Well, technically we're not, because Disney Plus or Disney streaming isn't like available everywhere in the world. So
for us, it's tricky.
Yeah,
dude. Surprisingly, it was weird, man. Like I got told, and I suppose it's when people build up hype for you, it often screws things up, and I think that might be a little bit for me because I watched it, and Kira and I found ourselves watching it, but like I'd leave the bedroom. It was like in the background, and I can't explain to you why.
Yeah.
I struggle to buy into the world, and I know it's probably a very unpopular but then the minute Baby Yoda comes into it, then it's like, and I know it's such a cliche thing, the story, but to me,
I'm sorry.
Siri wants to weigh in.
Artificial intelligence, what? Listening to us,
always.
No, dude. So but the last episode just pulled everything in together for me, and it was just like, and then I was like, okay, I enjoyed the series. It's weird. So everything up until then, I was like, it felt okay to me.
Okay.
But the whole episode, how it just like pulled together, and then I was like, okay, dig the series now. Like it's cool, like
this is the way.
But we had a conversation a while back, obviously off camera, and you told me about the Mandalorians, and that was cool. Like actually, funny enough, like I'm sure a lot of people don't know about Boba Fett and all of them.
Yeah.
So just having that going in, like, funny enough, like, that...
context, background.
Which way around is it? Is it Mando is Boba Fett's essentially his son, or is it the other way around?
No, Mando is after Boba.
Okay, yeah.
And I don't know if he's... As far as I can tell, he's not related to Boba in any way, shape, or form. Mando is just within the Mandalorian tribe.
Like they say in the series, it's a creed. So
exactly, 100%. So Boba was one of the famous, prolific ones, and then was killed by Luke and them in the Sarlacc pit in Return of the Jedi.
But there's a few interesting, so the Bill Burr, in the I didn't see that coming, and I was like,
that was cool. I knew it was coming because I actually watched Bill Burr on one of these. Funny enough, a YouTube channel. Yeah. He was being interviewed, and one of the guy whose channel it was asked him about it. And if you know anything about Bill Burr, he's one of the first guys to rip on the geek community, on the Star Wars thing, and doesn't get how people lose their minds and almost go to blows over Jedis versus Siths versus whatever it is. And he's made a lot of cool comments around Favreau and him talking about it, Favreau insisting that he come and do it, and specifically because he had a specific opinion on the whole geek community. Close one. And it's changed. He now has a different view.
He takes that.
And he said what amazed him was just how they actually do these things. The level of cameras all around you, blue screen stuff, all of that just blew his mind. Yeah.
And then besides him, then his name escapes me now, but essentially main actor. And okay, you didn't watch this, but he actually was in Game of Thrones. And he had a really interesting character, anyone who's watched Game of Thrones will know, but he came in and he was kind of this bisexual, free, spirit, but he was this quick, skinny fighter, and he gets put against a guy called the Mountain, and he effectively kicks the crap out of him, but last minute it flips on you like Game of Thrones, and literally there's a scene they squash his head and his eyes come out. And I was like, it's my favorite character, because he was just so cool. I did not expect, he was so witty and stuff. So I was kind of rooting for him. So there was another it's that dude to me. And then I don't know if you know this, but one of the main I think it's director, it's Taki Waititi.
Yeah.
And that's the same guy who did Thor.
Correct. And he was the voice of Korg.
Yeah.
In Thor, yeah, man. Taika, I think he did the last 2 episodes or something. He directed, and I don't know if he was one of the stormtroopers, because it's almost like an honor. You want to be in Star Wars, you can be a stormtrooper in some way, shape, or form.
So I found that he's doing a lot of huge, cool things, and they're talking about giving him his whole own Star Wars movie. Obviously, it's all just talk and stuff, but because well, it's falling on its face now, so they've got to find ways to fix it, I guess.
I think they do. You know what? For me, they should have just left the original trilogy what it was. If you did want to expand on the Jedis, did it necessarily have to be around Vader / the Skywalker family? I'm not sure. I, for one, was very upset about Disney or all of their insistence that all the movies that came after the original trilogy were not going to be in canon with the books, the comics, the massive universe that got built before they started doing more movies again. And I'll be the first one to raise my hand. There's tons that I just have not read, have not touched on, dabbled on. But what I can appreciate is the comic books that were done, be it by Marvel, be it by Dark Horse, the books that were written by various authors all over, the video games that were made, all of them in some way, shape or form interlinked. They almost took an approach that if some novelist wrote about a certain element of the Jedi culture or the Mandalorians or whatever it was, everyone else kind of took that and adopted it into theirs. Canon, yeah. Correct. And then they came around saying, no, we're doing these movies and we're disregarding everything that's been done in these other mediums and that.
And I mean, that's the sad thing. I mean, I can't confirm this, but I know you and I both haven't watched Rise of Skywalker. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But apparently, in Hollywood, they've got like teams that obviously keep track of the continuity and just like the character Bibles and something that can't trample. And apparently that whole team for the last movie was just like not even there.
Oh, really?
Which is insane. I obviously can't confirm that, but it's like, why would you? And apparently that's why there is all this backlash, because they've broken so many rules. And I've heard some stuff.
Sad.
Yeah, and they're like, who's it that they bring back to life? And he was dead. And it's like, what?
Oh, God. Don't even start then. I don't even know if I want to know that certain people were brought back to life. I think I'm going to do that thing at some point, and I'm going to probably download the movie, watch it, and just be intended or upset and disappointed the way, I don't know, God or whomever you believe in intended me to be, because it seems to be the general consensus. Even the hardcore fans that I know have been very, probably whelmed is the best way to describe it at best. And for any DC animated fans out there, they know what I'm talking about. I don't know if you heard
though, dude. Apparently it suffers from, again, I know only bits and pieces. I haven't really followed it like religiously. But apparently it suffers from the same problems kind of Suicide Squad had, where they like shot pieces and then the one director left because he wanted more time. And then J.J. Abrams came on. He said, I can finish your movie and I can fix what I can, but that's all I'm promising. And they're like, just make the release date, Disney style.
Wow.
Like Suicide Squad, which was like this whole Frankenstein of movies. And apparently if you watch carefully, you can actually tell it feels like a Frankenstein film. And there's certain things that apparently the chemistry between Ray and what's his name?
Finn.
The dude with the black long hair. That's
black long hair.
Wise lost man. He's like the main dude. That's like evil force.
Oh, Kylo Ren.
Yeah, Kylo Ren. Damn it.
Oh.
Apparently their chemistry is really good, and that's something he like channeled hard into. He saw, so he took what was shot and he tried to use the strengths of everything. But then I don't know the rest, but. Yeah, and apparently it's a mess.
Sure.
So, I guess we'll have to watch, go and watch it to comment more.
I'm sure we both will eventually, and I'm sure we
naively.
both will be disappointed, and so be it as it did.
And that's another thing that's coming out, dude, and I'm not looking forward to it, is the new Birds of Prey film. It just feels like a Harley Quinn follow-up.
Right?
And again, I don't know if you've heard, so... Obviously, I mean, most people know about the whole Leto joke, and was shooting Morbius when this all happened. So apparently, what they do is like, I don't know if you've seen the trailer. It's like Harley's like in this breakup thing, and she's like, Mr. J and I are on our best terms. So apparently, in the footage, the way they've done is they've cheated a stunt double of Leto, just blurred out in the back, and he kind of leaves the picture. And that's how they're gonna I don't know if they're gonna use that as continuity and that he leaves forever, or if he's still somehow in the DC universe. I don't know. And then it's going to be, look, I suppose it could be cool in aspects, because I don't know if you know, the big bad is Black Mask in the film.
I did hear that.
And he's a famous actor. I can't remember his name. And he seems like it's something like he could probably pull off and be cool about. But and then it's Huntress and Cassandra Cain, I think. I can't remember.
I saw, was it Kitana, I think? Or I think it's Kitana who's in it. Or the other one with the mask. Where's that Kitana? I'm losing my track.
I think Black Canary's the other one.
Yes.
But I think they're doing the newer Canary.
Really?
I can't remember, man. I don't know if it's Diana Lance. Is that the... yeah.
I don't know.
Me and Black Canary. Sorry, dude.
Dude, I'm not I don't know. She's never been one of my favorites. I should actually pick some of our friends. We got a mate, Devin. Dev is... #Dev, shout out. Dev is quite a fan when it comes to not only the birds, but Canary, Green Arrow,
but he hates all the films, so we wouldn't be able to talk to him in reference to that. He would just like ignore it completely.
I suppose that's also
this
true.
Is what happens in the comics.
He'd be the one going, really? They're doing a movie on it? Oh. Nuts. Okay, so Mandalorian didn't catch you, but only at the end when it...
funny enough. But I don't know if it is one of those things where, like, because everyone hyped it up so much for me, I expected this, like, epic beyond, like, belief. And
okay. The thing that I liked about it was you didn't really have to know a lot about Star Wars to be able to get into it and understand there's this group of people, they have a creed that they follow, etc. It's in another world, space, blah, blah, blah. Great. Baby Yoda is one of the linchpins because it's the thing that... So you're having we spotted technical difficulties. We're going to fix a camera.
I'm winging it on the side, on the fly here.
We are currently experiencing technical difficulties. Please do not adjust your TV set. So it is a linchpin for the whole thing. It becomes his raison d'etre, if you like. For those of you that don't know, a raison d'etre is your reason for being, or the thing that gives you purpose in the story. So it becomes his, the linchpin, raison d'etre, and puts him on this new path, contrary to the normal bounty hunter portion of the Mandalorian creed, and yet still has their backing when he needs it, which I thought was cool. And I like it's a series, so it has to be episodic in some way. And the way they did it reminded me of some of those old style TV shows, like the one that always pops into mind was that Kung Fu. David Carradine did it, where he was that Shaolin monk traveler in the Old West, and each episode was him going to a new town, village, interacting with people, and he'd use Kung Fu and these principles and teachings to save the day each time or whatever, and then it would always end with some kind of a
like lesson
learn, something like that, a moral story or speaking to.
There's a few things, man, like, and I feel like I'm sort of contradicting myself because I'm one for giving like continuity things that they change or they change for the movie or whatever. I'm pretty chill to that, but like there's the one scene where it's the constant flashbacks to what happens to Mando. Yeah. And his parents put him in that bunker. It's like there was plenty of space for them in there. Why don't they climb in there with him? No, he's saving you, Mando. And I was like, I'm so...
a bit too altruistic, or at least, Mom, you get in with our child. I will die for us kind of scenario.
So like, and then another one was like, this is going to sound really stupid, but I knew at every second of the turn, Yoda was going to be okay. Yoda's never going to die. He couldn't die. So it's like, when he was in danger, I'm like, is he really like...
Yeah, but again, this all goes on a whole thing around, firstly, is it Yoda? Is it just part of his species? His race,
that's a good point.
Or is it has Yoda found a way to use the Force and return and go through the whole cycle of life again? No one knows. So that's an interesting thing there. Or what I thought was going to happen was he wasn't going to be okay season 1, and it would lead into season 2 would be almost his hunt for Yoda, to return Yoda. While these guys were taking him to various locations and stuff, the Mandalorian and various people that he finds along the way are helping him track Baby Yoda to try and save the creature again. That's how I thought it was going to go. So I was pleasantly surprised at that. I was sad to see Nick Nolte was the voice of the character. That whole "I have spoken." I really dug that character. I was sad to see that they took him out, and that was in the feels kind of thing.
And look, in the whole Also, did they? Again, so this could have been because I watched on and off in the background, but they kept going on how Mando hated droids, and to me, I didn't, and I might have missed it, but the follow up to why. Because there is that whole they finish it off by the droid surprising him and being the savior of the day and being not a hunter and being a nurse.
No, you never really got a flashback to that as to why.
So it feels like there's also an arc that's unfinished, and maybe they'll do season 2 and
later on in the show he references that particular bounty hunter droid he doesn't trust because it was programmed to kill everyone and take Baby Yoda. So he's suspicious of that particular droid being reprogrammed because its original programming was contrary. So that they kind of cover nicely, but the overarching mistrust and hatred towards droids doesn't really get touched on. What I was surprised about, and again, maybe they a direct choice, in the actual comic book canon, the book canon, etc., I think I chatted to you about the Jedi were directly responsible for a lot of the turmoil that happened to the Mandalorian race when they were still on their planet Mandalore.
Okay.
Trying to bring peace to warring factions on Mandalore, and that eventually ended up with the Mandalorians almost banding together against the Jedi. There's a whole big thing then. The Jedi actually won out in the end, and it ended up, I don't know if it was that particular war or some major split between two factions of the Mandalorians that ruined planet Mandalore. But there's an inherent dislike or hatred within the Mandalorian culture for the Jedi.
Okay.
And I was quite surprised that they didn't find a way to mention it, to reference it really, because if there was this deep-seated mistrust, hatred, or something for this race of people that could manipulate magical forces and move things and do things that most, because apparently the way I understood the story, the Mandalorians built their armor, built their helmets, the jetpacks and everything that they had to counteract Jedi powers. So Jedis have the ability to control the weak-minded with their own. The Mandalorian helmet protects them from that kind of influence and sway. The Jedi can use force jump or speed, so they can, when neat, they can tap into the force, move faster. That's how they can anticipate where laser blasts are going to come. They've got a bit of forevision, so they can see where it's coming, so they can deflect and block it. They can also jump really high and stuff, and the Mandalorians had jetpacks to counteract that, meet them in the air and still battle them, etc. So if a lot of what they were and a lot of their weapons were to counteract Jedi fighting, I was very surprised that he didn't see the fact that Baby Yoda was using the Force, Jedi-like magic, and communicate that to the Elder Forger or whatever when they were talking, etc. The baby still remains a mystery to him, and I was quite surprised that they didn't choose to pull that in. If I was telling the story, I would have, because it allowed me in season 2 to bring Jedi, unknown Jedi, into the fray, potential Jedi still learning, into this fray, and have that culture conflict with Mandalorian culture, if you wanted to. Might even be a nice story where the two cultures find a way to work together and coexist again, to save.
That would be an organic thing, one of those, I know it's a cliche, but the story where they got to work together, but they don't want to.
100%. So it just took me by surprise that didn't happen. That being said, I suppose in the last episode, with the second last one, where the Forger stays behind and lets them all escape, stays behind to fight the stormtroopers, there she mentions knowledge of the Jedi and those things, but they don't really go too far into it. And I would have thought him being raised the Mandalorian way, in that raising, learning the creed and everything, you would be told of these people. But anyway, that was just my side thought on it. I don't know. Yeah, but I'm glad you liked it in the end. I'm glad the hype didn't spoil it.
It's definitely it was definitely cool to watch.
Like I say, for me, not so much that it was a Star Wars story. I liked the fact that it was this cool guy on a journey, guy who discovers a purpose and goes on that lone warrior kind of mission to protect this child roaming from planet to planet, town to town, whatever you want. Yeah. I kind of like that element to it.
And I generally like this, and I think it's you know, it's speaking to most people that are liking. I mean, if I hate to reference it back, but like these kind of standalone things that stand on themselves that don't really tie to continuity. I think it's kind of like creatively strangling a lot of. Look, Marvel is somehow doing it, but even they in their own, I mean, they're tying their TV series and stuff, but I think they're starting to more loosely tie stuff because they're seeing the value of, like, even DC's like success with Joker being this total standalone thing, and Mandalorian, this little, obviously it's not DC, but it's thing on its own. So I think. And that would be cool. Like, I know I'm switching franchises and stuff, but if they're talking about doing like a couple of more like villain-styled characters, like they do with Joker, and I think like a self-contained movie like Lex Luthor would be freaking crazy if they could do something like that.
Provided they get the right Lex, and I don't know. At one point, I actually thought Kevin Spacey was going to be the good choice, and
then he had an awkward conversation by the fire.
Totally awkward. Jeez, I don't even know where that was coming. I know where it was coming from, kind of thing, but just the way the creepiness that came through in that video. And I think the first time that I even heard about it was on one of Joe Rogan's podcasts, and they pull it up and they show you, but just in that whole Superman Returns, yes, and just watching him in Superman Returns, it was. I think my problem with it was they didn't let Kevin Spacey be his own Lex. They were directly on this thing to try and make him a follow-on from Gene Hackman's Lex Luthor character, and I don't think that worked. But it's a tough one to play. Someone who's, you know, Eisenberg almost kind of gets it in his last little monologue in Man of Steel when he's face to face with Superman on the building.
Yeah,
but not.
You know what? Like, I didn't like Eisenberg as Luthor as another character. I liked the craziness, but like Luthor to me is just way more like clinical and calculated. I don't know how else to explain it. He isn't reckless and freaking like jittery and that's what Eisenberg did. So maybe if they made him another character, like he could have made a cool Riddler or something. I don't know. I'm just winging it now. But side news. Sorry, I'm changing topics. But I don't know if you know the new Batman film they're making.
Sparkly Batman.
But do you see like Colin Farrell's been cast as Penguin?
Really?
Yeah, dude. So I don't know what to make of that.
I don't know either, because, you know, again, we've had this discussion before, and for me, the Penguin fits or needs to fit a certain aesthetic. Top hat, monocle. A lot of the artists like to represent his nose and other features penguin-esque. That's where it's coming from. And I liked how Gotham did that. The actor they chose, I forget his name right now. We'll probably flash it up on the screen. But the way that they styled him, the way he looked like his nose and everything formed a penguin. He looked awkward the way he moved, like a penguin. But just his whole character, I was not sold originally, but in the end, I was like, he was cool. Yeah. The only failing or shortcoming is generally he's quite a portly fellow in the comics, always represented like that. And now you're telling me they're going to put Colin Farrell, who's the complete opposite of portly and
interesting. I saw him, dude, it's one of those typical, I don't know if it's a Jimmy Fallon show or something, and he's chatting, and also like his thick Irish accent. I always forget he's Irish.
Well, you've got to love that Irish accent here.
Yeah, but he was already like not crazy, but he was like, he put on a bit of weight, interestingly, but like nothing crazy. So I don't know,
maybe they fattened him up to suit the aesthetic in the end. Bit of prosthetics here and there to give him a little bit of a belly.
And then
make him more portly.
I always forget the guy's name. I think he acted in 1,000 Years a Slave or something like that. He's going to be the Riddler.
Oh yeah, I saw that dude, man. Yeah, it's all over the internet. He's
Yeah, he looks like he could be a good fit. I can't really comment too much on that. And then I don't know if you saw Zoe Kravitz is Catwoman.
I heard rumors that Zoe Kravitz was tiptoeing around and no one knew who, what, where, how it was going to work. Even talk around because she's Kravitz that she's going to get this role.
That's a crazy one, dude. I don't know if you know this. So, like, obviously it's Lenny Kravitz's daughter, but her mother is now married to Jason Momoa. So Jason Momoa is her stepdad. How is that for like two legendary freaking figures being like father figures to you?
Wow, crazy. Both with dreadlocks at various points in their lives. Go figure.
Yeah, so like I don't know, man. I don't know enough about her roles to know if she's gonna nail it.
Me too.
I hope so.
Very much in the dark.
I'm buying into Robert Pattinson being Batman. And like I didn't in the beginning. I had exactly, but if you look at his other roles, like besides like Twilight was like over 10 years ago, dude. I think people need like, let's forget about that now. True. He's taken on all these like weird indie roles, like these really hard acting roles and stuff, and apparently he's thrived. So,
look, I don't think. I'm choosing my words carefully here. I don't think I ever doubted acting prowess or potential acting prowess, and when I heard he was cast as Batman, Bruce Wayne aesthetic and look and whatever, I think he fits beautifully. He really does. It was just the whole, I was more sold on an Affleck because at one stage Affleck was Daredevil, and a lot of people don't want to even go there, but he had played an action kind of hero before, and Affleck has done several action roles before taking on the Batman, and when he took on the Batman, I mean, dude, he got jacked. That guy, he was a beast when you saw him in that.
I'm still a fan, man. I know people have mixed feelings, but
I loved his Batman too. Yeah, and I think that script choices, lead, who's going to carry the Justice League movies where it fell short. Yeah, because it was noticeable in the script and the way he was portraying everything that the whole character was taking a step down and back, which. I found contrary to a lot of the good Justice League stories.
We've talked about that, whereas, it was obvious that, okay, we have Superman, we have Wonder Woman, gods. Okay, we have cyborg robot,
man-made god in a way.
Aquaman, kind of a water god. And it's like, and they weren't sure what to do with Batman. But and we've talked about this, Batman's the one who masterminds all of their movement because they're just pure brute force.
Correct.
And he has a contingency upon a contingency for everything. He's the world's best detective within the DC universe
and master tactician. It's just,
and they fell so short that he was like pew pew once or twice, and I was like, and as a Batman fan, I was like,
totally 100%.
And maybe, we can be hopeful in the new film that they touch on the detective aspect. They've always kind of fallen short. I fell on that.
Yeah, every movie has.
It's an easy thing to fall short of when you're trying to make this blockbuster action film.
Totally.
It's like rather let's blow shit up instead of going that okay, he can be a Sherlock Holmes. He doesn't.
But on that note, Guy Ritchie nails it with the Sherlock movies. The whole detective element and how he portrays the thought processes that go through Sherlock's head in an instant, but the way they stretch out and freeze play.
100%. Oh, they masterpieces.
Yeah.
And apparently it seems like we're hoping that Robert Downey Jr. is going to do a third movie. There's a lot of talks.
Please. We want more Sherlock.
So that'll be cool.
Yeah.
I still have to watch Dracula, which you told me about, so I'll get on that ASAP. Maybe we can talk about that.
I'd be interested to see your thoughts on it, etc. But that's definitely topics to discuss on our next session, next bout of filming. Everybody who took the time to tune in and have a look at what Mark and I have embarked on with our newly formed YouTube channel, please hit like, subscribe to the channel.
There is that bell's notification. Don't forget about it to it can let you know when we make new videos. That would be really rad if you did that.
Get notifications on all of it via email, app, whatever, on your phone, etc. I know the plan is to create some kind of social media presence over and above. So there probably will be a Facebook channel at some point.
We are totally winging this. So
yeah.
Also, if you guys care enough to comment or know our opinions on anything, we'd love to we want to keep doing this. So if there's anything you want to know,
put it in the comments section. If there's anything that you think,
we'll give it a bash.
Yeah, if you think there's something we need to revisit because we had no clue what we were talking about, or we were coming from a position of ignorance, please, add it to the comments, and more than happy to digest. If you have any negative feedback, go away. No, any kind of thing that I think, to help us grow this thing, help us evolve it, help us make it something better than it already is, that would be hugely beneficial and appreciated from our side. Cool. So hit like, subscribe, tune in. I can't even say weekly or monthly. We don't know how this is going to come out, but just keep your ears to the ground and hope you'll hear and see them, and we'll catch you on the flip side. Such an epic fail.